already excellent record at the Royal Meeting.
Thanks, Rishi. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Yeah, good luck to Team Fanshawe here with Audaria having our first start for quite a while. The question is she ready to run a big race after a good break over the winter? She was so good over at the Breeders' Cup in the fillies and mares and has made that really rapid improvement. Really nice individual.
My Oberon, I imagine William Haggis will love the fact he's got absolutely no attention on him here.
Yes, he does. I think he actually really rates this horse at home. He's probably taken a little bit of time to come to hand, but he won on his seasonal reappearance this year, and then 7th in the lock-in, which is over a mile. Today's up to a mile and a quarter, and that 3rd in the Prix d'Ispahan, that reads pretty well. He's flying a little bit under the radar. Could just surprise. I wouldn't put past him.
Scaletti has been a big talking horse over in France. You know, one of those who just keeps managing to win, and it was a close contest. They put the cheek pieces on it. You see the woolly bits on the side of his bridle down his face. Not quite as severe as a blinker, but just making him focus forward.
And they have said that these faster ground conditions is going to be to his liking.
And the jockey cam has also been fitted here, Jason. Tom Marquand is carrying the jockey cam. And that's what he sees as he heads out the tunnel. He'll go left, take a left-hand turn under that tunnel, and then bear right out onto the track. There they go. And those famous colours, Sunderland holding colours, as they're called these days. There he goes. Right, who haven't we talked about? Sangarius, Francesca. As we see, love. Sangarius in the Juddmonte colours for Sir Michael Stout, who's won this 4 times. I said earlier, 1981 was his first win. Hard fought, then he won with Stagecraft, Poet's Words, and Crystal Ocean. But Sangarius, he was well touted, wasn't he? He never really lived up to that billing.
And I think a few of us got quite excited about him when he won the Hampton Court Stakes here in 2019, and we kept expecting more from him. Like I mentioned in the paddock, he did have that wind operation over the winter. He's had 2 starts since. He does wear a tongue tie and a cross noseband, so I wonder if that's just something that has been holding him back. The second to Armory and the Huxley reads okay, second to Yukon Glen, but yeah, he's definitely got to lift to beat the likes of Love and Armory.
Rishi.
With the great Sir Michael Stout ahead of Sangarius' run in the Prince of Wales's. Sir Michael, a couple of years ago, when he won here at the Royal Meeting, he looked potentially like he could go to the very top. Things haven't been straightforward. How is he for this run today?
Well, as you know, he's had a few issues, but he ran well on his return, and then the ground was too soft for him at Sandown. You know, he's a Group 3 and a dual listed race winner, so we thought we would have a crack at this.
Yeah. And do you still believe
for the best?
Do you still believe at the time? I thought a lot of people thought he was a Group 1 horse in the making when he won at the Royal Meeting a couple of years ago. Do you still feel that that's all still to come for him?
Well, I don't know if he would get as high as that, but he's running useful races and he's very consistent.
He is. And the last thing, I noticed you were paying attention to Love, and it's always great to hear what other trainers think about the way these horses are campaigning and the way she looks. What's your thoughts on how good a filly she was through 2020?
Well, she was just brilliant, you know. Really, really high class, and I'm sure she's going to be again this year. She looked magnificent. She's got great depth and power behind the saddle.
Thank you so much. Best of luck.
Here's the parade. You can see racegoers in the background there. Up to 12,000 we're allowed this week for what is a government research event. If it goes well, hopefully it'll help everything open up. Sport the lot. Love the market leader. I love those Audaria colours, now Swinburne colours. They were Peter Harris's colours for so many years.
Yes, and it's a great story. Alison Swinburne owned her. She came on and had a little chat this morning with Ollie kindly on the opening show, and just been a wonderful story, hasn't it, all the way through to the Breeders' Cup. She just kept on getting that little bit better, and as you always tell me, Francesca, that, you know, she's a girl going places and we should sit up and take notice.
Well, Jason, history will tell you that when you get a good mare, they can be extremely tough, as you know, with the likes of Enable that we've enjoyed recently. So let's get an update in what the market's saying with Matt.
Touch 5-4, but into 6-5 Love. Armory is weak now, 5-2. My Oberon, much shorter than you would have imagined. Can't win on form, but 17-2. Ordera, the Breeders' Cup heroine, at 17-2. Sangarius trying to do something he just hasn't done on the track yet at 9. And Desert Encounter's been a worldie, been all around the world. Terrific old boy, but he can't win this really. 25-1. Love. Will Moore team just go out, dictate, quicken off the bend and run them ragged.
How fit is Love for her first run since August? We need an expert to tell us. That's why we've got Ken Pitterson with us. What are your thoughts on how she looks, Ken?
I think she looks very straight, Rishi. I saw her last season, and physically I think she's developed over the winter months, and Aiden's got her pretty straight for her first start.
What about some of the others, and how do you think they're taking the prelims?
Armory looks well. I mean, he's a big, substantial, well-made colt. I couldn't fault him. I thought the one I was impressed with was Sangarius. I saw him at Sandown. He looked well. I think the ground was against him, but today he looks really tuned up. So I think he could run a big race. Yesterday
we spoke about Batash, and he did look well, but there's something about razor sharp fitness that maybe we can't quite tell until they're on the track and they're asked to do it. Any concerns with that regard to Love? Well, no matter what horse runs first time, you're going to improve for a run. You go for your first run, you're going to improve. It's like no doubt.
Yeah, we are, aren't we? So she's going to improve it, but I think Aiden's got enough work in there, and she was classy last year. She might just be too good for them. Ken, I'm hoping so. Thanks for talking to us. Thank you.
And that's the decision between those two. If you're fans of these two, you've got to make. Well, you've talked about Francesca Love with all her potential, and Armory's got the form in the book. You go back to Ireland in the Champion Stakes, Jason, for example. Magical won it, then Gayath. I mean, absolute superstars. The Art winner in 4th. 5th was Japan, and Armory sandwiched between them. And that's where you'd side.
Yeah, that's the piece of form that's the real linchpin for me in this particular lineup. He's got a little bit warm, but they all are, Francesca. He was fine in the prelims.
Well, that's why I want to hear from Luke, because he's gone from being super chilled here to a bit sweaty down at the start, whilst the filly Luke looks well.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Francesca, it's such a relaxed atmosphere down here. These horses are taking it really well. What a lovely shot that is of Love. Look at her just over this way, just standing there. And Ryan Moore just waiting for the stall handler just to come up to him and up to her, sorry. And yeah, she looks as though she's done plenty of work. She looks, just listening to Ken there, she looks, to me, I agree with him, she looks stronger behind the saddle than she did previously. And yes, real privilege to be down here to see one of the best horses in the world. One of the better looking horses here is horse number 5, just going across there. Sir Michael Stout's Sangarius, who ran okay in the Brigadier Gerard, but he's a smashing big horse. Lovely horse to look at. Colin got his feet out of his irons just to keep the horse nice and relaxed. And to be honest, he's barely got a bead of sweat on him. This is Andrea Tzini just coming past us on good old Desert Encounter. He's been to more race courses than I have, but he's been absolutely brilliant. There she is, just going past. The mighty Love. I'll never ever get tired of watching these class horses. Look at her just looking around. Go on, girl.
Going into this race, 18 have left of you in the ITV7, going for £50,000 today. I imagine most of you are on Love. We've talked about all the horses in the field, bar the horse that was referred to there, Desert Encounter. What a servant he has been for the Simcock team. Last couple coming forward for the Prince of Wales' Stakes. Richard.
Thanks, Ed. 2 to go. Desert Encounter moves forward, and there is Love. White-faced filly. Key early point will be how much tempo there is in the race. Armory coming from the back when he won at Chester. Love moves forward under Ryan Moore, and the 6 runners are loaded away. For our feature race on day 2, the Prince of Wales' Stakes Group 1 contest, and the 6 runners leave the stalls. A few glances left and right by the various riders. Sordaria and Love is going to move to the lead at a steady gallop. My Oberon not completely giving up the inside running rail, and the early pace is very sedate indeed. Sangarius in the pink cap is currently 3 wide as they'll shortly begin the the turn at Swindley Bottom. Still Love staying off the rail, almost encouraging My Oberon to take that inside berth, but now Ryan Moore is going to move to the lead decisively and cross over towards the rail. My Oberon in second place, yellow jacket with the purple star, and as they turn at the far end, Sangarius races in third. Second half of the field is led by Audaria, who is in fourth place with Armory, and Desert Encounter as they pass the 7 is last of all. So Love climbing the hill at the foot of the climb that bring them back towards the home straight, leading by a length but not pressing on as yet. Sangarius and My Oberon are the next two as they pass the final 3/4 of a mile point. Audaria is in fourth with 2 lengths to Armory, and still at the back of the pack is Desert Encounter. So Love passes the 5, reaching the halfway stage with those furlongs ticking by in excess of 13. Sangarius on the outside of My Oberon, Audaria in fourth place, Armory still keeping the powder dry in fifth, and last of the 6 is Desert Encounter. So the pace just beginning to pick up now as Love, trying to assert, goes a length clear from My Oberon, racing on the inside of Sangarius as they make the turn. Audaria is in fourth place, 2 lengths to Armory, and Desert Encounter. Precious little change in the order as Love now swings the bend. Sangarius travelling up with Audaria towards the outside. My Oberon pushed along. Armory now just beginning to creep into it as Love is asked to stretch with 2 furlongs to go. Audaria is on the outside. Armory shaken up for the first time. Love having to dig in. Audaria is coming at her. In second place at the moment, about 3/4 of a length down. Back towards the inside, My Oberon. A furlong to go in the Prince of Wales's. Love trying to repel them all. Still leads through Audaria, and Love driven out. He's going to make all in the Prince of Wales's. A while between dates, but Love is back as good as ever. Beating Audaria into second. Armory was third. In fourth, My Oberon, Desert Encounter, and once again Sangarius flattered to deceive. Hardly a test at the trip, but Love was able to fight them all off. Audaria the most persistent challenger in second. Armory never really got there in third. My Oberon and Desert Encounter pretty well bunched, forced to cut out her own running. Ryan Moore said even sectionals, began to wind it up inside the final 3. Good tenacity from Love. It's great to see one of the leading horses of last year kept in training at 4 and returning with a victory in the feature race on day 2. It's all Love in the Prince of Wales's Stakes.
Congratulations to trainer Aidan O'Brien. You've won the Prince of Wales Stakes with the most game performance from Love. Aidan, what's your reaction?
And I was delighted, Rishi. Obviously, it was our first run of the year, and we were had to be very cautious. Ryan gave her a beautiful ride. We knew that she was going to come on a lot from the run. We obviously would have preferred to have a run, but our first time over 1.25 miles, and now we were over the moon with her.
That last couple of furlongs, tremendous resolution from her, Aidan. And Audaria came at her and was relentless.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's very genuine, very brave. And like obviously Ryan was trying to balance the thing, and he knew that Armory was going to be very fancied, so he was just trying to do enough and not to do too much, obviously, as well, and he was trying to do the right thing for Love, really. So over the moon.
How were you watching that last furlong or so?
And we were delighted. We knew that her head was out and down, and we knew Ryan, looking at Ryan's body language, he hadn't went for everything, you know. So and he was trying to let her win and to give her as easy time as he could, you know. So.
And last thing, Aidan, you know as well as I do, the amount of times horses come back and win after a break. People always expect them to be better. Will she be better the next time she runs?
She will. She'll come on a lot. Obviously, we had prepared her 2 or 3 times and stop and start again, and it's far from ideal. But I'm delighted that the lads decided to do this now, to wait until the ground came right, and it was a lovely place to start. Obviously, in Royal Ascot, there's nowhere better.
Eclipse, King George?
All those races are open to him. Rishi, open to her. So it'll depend on what the lads want to do. She had a choice of going to the Pretty Polly, but we were afraid the ground would go. So I think everything is open to her. King George, all the Eclipse, whatever. It'll be whatever the lads will decide and whatever they want to do, really.
Wonderful to have her back, Aidan. Well done.
Appreciate it, Rishi. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rishi.
Ryan Moore's just executed the perfect ride on Love. Well done, Ryan.
Look, it's only about her. She's high-class filly. First run since last August, and she's had to beat a Breeders' Cup win, so I'm sure she'll improve that, but delighted with her today.
And Ryan, you won an Arc de Triomphe on a brilliant filly called Found, who's by Galileo. Love is by Galileo. I mean, we've got to believe that this could be one of the truly wonderfully great fillies, can't we?
Look, it was great to get her back today, and I'm sure she'll come on for the run. And she's a very honest filly and with a lot of ability, and hopefully she'll come on for it and be better as the year goes on.
Yeah, we might see her back here in the King George. Look, well done, Ryan. You absolutely executed that to perfection, team.
He certainly did. The love story goes on. Pat Keating on the left, Lee O'Brien leading him up on the right. She won at 11-10. Daria, the Fanshawe team, I imagine will be thrilled with her performance. The winner had to dig deep.
Tactics were fantastic, weren't they? You know, Ryan popped out, he put his hands on her neck, and he was like, well, if you want to go on, but nobody wanted it. Everybody was taken back off the inside. He was allowed that time. Shamey straight back, dropped in with Armory, and of course then it's about that tempo, that even race. Ryan's had to give it the full maximum. You know, he's asked her for everything coming up there, but she has responded.
I'm sure she'll gain from this fitness-wise, but you're right, he was able to control the race, wasn't he? He went forward, he said, fine, I'll take it up if nobody else wants to. And then, how long's the straight here? What, 2.5?
Yeah.
So to be in a kind of position to strike, you need to be manoeuvring before the bend, which I think is what Will Buick did on Daria, and arguably had to use her up a little bit too much before he got into a position to really take on Love, whereas she was able to just glide to the front and able just to go through the gears, whereas Daria, for me, just had to use a bit too much petrol up. And I think Connections will be super happy with that run, considering the way it panned out.
I think they've got to be over the moon, and I think that Williams' hands were tied there. Nobody was taking on Love, and he knows that Ryan's having the easiest time. He thinks, I've got to make a manoeuvre, I've got to make some sort of winning manoeuvre.
John Magner was a big part of our feature for the Derby, and I hope John, who's seen most things in racing, enjoyed watching that today. Love has won the Prince of Wales Stakes here at Royal Ascot. She's just having a look around. Just taking it all in, isn't she? Aidan O'Brien, hot on the heels of Frankie Dettori, by the way. 75. Landmark win for Aidan O'Brien as well. He's bearing down on Sir Michael Stout on 81. Just a matter of time before he becomes the most successful trainer in Royal Ascot history. Here she comes, and getting a wonderful reception. How many questions there, Jason? All those questions we were talking about beforehand. She hasn't beaten a good horse yet. How good do you think she is?
She's just having a look at the flared nostrils there, Ed. I mean, she's entitled to have a bit of a blow, and she is having, so she's going to take a step forward. She's gifted such an easy time, but I think the more we're seeing of her, the more adaptable she is, Francesca, you know, trips-wise. So that's a mile, a classic, 1.5 miles, a classic, 1.25 miles, a Group 1. You know, she's just a machine, isn't she? She's very, very flexible.
Okay, so what do you think her best trip is?
I think 1.25 miles.
Oh, do you?
I think, 1.5 miles, 1.5 miles. Because there was just a moment there, you could argue it was her first run back, she might be having a bit of a blow. But I think 1.5 miles, that would really see her sort of stride out to the line better.
I agree.
We'll look at her pedigree in just a second. Back to you, Richie.
Well, I'm just watching Connections of Daria, watching the race on the big screen again, and I'm just going to wander around because there's a lot to be proud of. I can just see James Fanshawe. I'm just going to walk in the shot. James, carry on watching it and just give me your thoughts on what happened. I thought it was a magnificent comeback run.
Well, she ran really well. You know, we're all absolutely thrilled with the way she's run. You know, she's proven that she's progressed again from last year, and she's a really exciting prospect for this year because obviously, you know, we're having our first run today. We weren't fully sure how she'd run because, you know, Love is a very good filly, and you know, it looked like at the furlong pole we were going to give her a race, but no, I'm delighted with her.
Well, you did give her a race, and there must have been a moment here now turning in. William, I think, was actually came off the bridle later than Ryan did. Is that?
Yeah, he did. But so it is Love's first run as well. So it's our first run. So you know, it's we're absolutely thrilled with her. You know, so actually. William said the pace wasn't actually that strong.
Fair enough.
Whether that made any difference, I don't know.
Have you got a plan in mind from here?
I'm not sure. We'll go and have a think about it. But you know, we'll probably go up against, when you say keep against your own sex, but we've been beaten by our own sex. But you know, whether we go for the Romane or the Nassau, you know, one of those races.
What exciting options to have, James. Yeah. Very well done. A lot to be proud of.
We'll try and space it anyway. You know.
Beautiful.
Yeah, great.
Well
Thank
done.
you. Thanks, Rishi.
Thank you. Well done.
So let's have a look look at the pedigree of this lovely filly Love. So she's by the super sire Galileo. We don't need to talk too much about that side of the pedigree because we know how good he is. But look at the dam side. So Peekaboo is the mum, the dam of Love, and she herself absolutely useless. She raced 5 times and was never placed. So that just goes to show that they don't need to be good as a racehorse themselves to be a good mare, because she's also the mum of the likes of Flattering and Peachtree as well, and now the mum of Love.
She just floats. So good to watch. And Love is rocketing, you sense, in racing fans' affections.
Magical moments from Royal Ascot.